how's it going everybody, Ben from basesetmew here and welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to show off my secondary binder. Now I've actually recently reworked my binder setup, if you will. This actually used to be my trade binder. Before that, in fact, it was actually my main binder. This is what I used before switching over to the Precious Collector box. But ever since I opened the Charizard VMAX Collector's box with that huge 12-pocket binder, that one is now my trade binder, and this one is now my secondary binder. This one includes cards that I do really like, but I just don't have space for them in my main binder, which is why secondary binder, kind of makes sense. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first page right here. I actually do have quite a few art rares in here, and a lot of them actually used to be in my main binder. For example, these ones. This is the Manaphy, the Miltank, and the Latias, and in fact the Keldeo from V-Star Universe. I think actually all of them used to be in my main binder before I somewhat downsized my collection to, be able to include more SARs as they release later down the line. And I don't have to say anything about them. These are super cool. The Miltank is definitely one of my favorites. I just love that illustration. Just look at the feast they're having. This is great stuff. The Latias is also pretty self-explanatory. It's a Gen 3 Pokemon, and I do really love my Gen 3 Pokemon. The Keldeo is also in here because the illustration is just super top-notch. That is the reason why most of these art rares are in here in the first place. It's because I just love the illustration. Or maybe there is some story behind that, like with the Ferrothorn, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Same with the Ice Cube, I just thought the illustration was super cute. We have the Dragonair, the Yveltal, and the Ferrothorn. Funny story, because you might think, well, the illustration or the Pokemon isn't very popular. I have this in here because the first time I played through Black and White, I actually used to have a Ferrothorn in my team, and I just thought that Pokemon was super cool, even though it was weak as heck to fire damage, but that's besides the point, still stands. Really like this Pokemon from Black and White. I also have the Esparter in here, just because, well, this is an illustration by Akira Igawa. I should show this off up close. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to this illustration in particular, because Esparter isn't a very popular Pokemon, I feel like, but the illustration by Akira Igawa is just, that's breathtaking, right? That is amazing. That is super cool. Alright, on to a few more art rares right here. I think basically almost every single one in here I've pulled myself. The only one I haven't pulled, as far as I can tell on this page at the very least, is the Cresselia right here, because this one I actually got from a seller in Japan when I ordered something off eBay. I think I ordered the Altaria EX SAR, and I got this one for free on top, and I love the illustration, and here you go, that's why it's in my binder. I do have the Vibrava in here, just more Gen 3 Pokemon. Still kind of strange why they did a Vibrava art rare, but didn't bother to like do a Flygon art rare or even an SAR. The time is coming for a Flygon, I'll tell you. Once the new sets release with the Mega Evolutions, it's Flygon's time to shine. I also have the Cerulege in here. I actually pulled this one in my traditional Chinese opening. You can see at the bottom right here. Actually, let me show this off. This is a traditional Chinese Cerulege. First of all, the set name is completely different from the simplified Chinese. It's SV8, because the traditional Chinese is also already in Scarlet and Violet. It was in Scarlet and Violet way before the simplified Chinese, and it also doesn't have the stamp, the embossment of the Pokemon logo down right there. So two ways to tell if an art rare is simplified or traditional Chinese. I have the Magneton from Shinji Kanda. This is just a great artwork. I mean, Shinji Kanda's illustrations are super popular, and I can definitely tell why. The Mesprit, just, by Hyogonosuke, just a cool looking illustration. Same with the Noibat, really cute looking one. I actually pulled this myself as well. And then the Swinub, because for some reason, I think I said it in my opening as well, for some reason that art rare just reminds me of Demon Slayer. I have no idea why. Maybe because of the snow and the forest in the background, and maybe at the time when I pulled it, I was watching through Demon Slayer, maybe that's why. But I just think the illustration is super nice. Onto the second page, the Lycanroc by Ghidorah. That's pretty much self-explanatory, another great artist. This one's actually pretty cool. So this one is the 25th anniversary artware Pikachu, but this one is in simplified Chinese, and it doesn't feature any of the logos that you would normally find on the Japanese or English version of this card right here. So that's why this one is included, even though I think it's really, really cheap. I just thought it's super cool to have that illustration without any distracting logos or whatsoever. I have the Sunflora in here because I don't know why, looking at this illustration, especially now during summertime, it just makes me feel super happy for some reason. I just think this is super nice. It's such a relaxing illustration, if that makes sense. I just think it's so cool, so relaxing, very nice. I have the Ionos Kilowattrel, pulled this one in one of my Journey Together openings. Funny thing though, Journey Together was actually one of the last English sets I actually opened. I stopped when the Team Rocket set was way overpriced, and ever since then haven't really touched an English set. But there we are. I do have the Banette with Phoebe in the background, Gardevoir with Wally. I do have a Drudgeodon with an Ace Trainer right here. This one is also from V-Star Universe. In fact, I think all of these... Actually, no, these might be from VMAX Climax, actually. I think these are way older because they're character rares, and I think they were first reintroduced in VMAX Climax, so there you go. This one is the following set after VMAX Climax. This is the Roserade with Gardenia, and I also have Chantal with the Chandelure down right here. Moving it on. Alright, and right here is my last page of artwares for now. As you can see, I do have an empty page off to the right here. So if I do want to add more, I do have space. I actually kept that in mind with other pages as well, as you're going to see a little bit later on. I do have the Arwen's Greedent and the Hops Wooloo. A lot of these are actually pulled recently. So we have the Petrel's Wheezing. I also have the Archer's Houndoom. And on the note of the Hops Wooloo, I said that when I pulled it as well. I feel like this illustration is actually super well done. It's just that the character Hop isn't very popular. That's why the artware isn't that popular as well, I feel like, even though it's so well done. Alright, and then down here I actually have 3 cards that are really, really cool. I have the Flannery Squirtle. Actually, these are just the Pokémon, but they are character rares. I do have the Wishy Washy with Lana, and I do have Professor Kukui with the Rockruff down right here. These are actually super cool. I think these were first included in Dream League and Cosmic Eclipse, but both of those sets, especially Dream League, have gotten really, really expensive. I don't actually remember if I opened these on the channel or if I opened these in my own time, but I think they're super neat. Down here I also have the Altaria with Lesia. This one is from Silver Tempest. I actually used to have this card in Japanese, but I think I sold it a little while ago, so I only have the English version right now. I still feel like this illustration is super well done by Yu Nishida, and it really does go well together with the, I want to say, recently released Lesia Full Arts, but I think that's a little while ago at this point as well, eh? I do have this Stoutland. This one is from Cosmic Eclipse, because it is off-center, and I don't know if you can make that out on the video. It does actually have a very small alignment dot up the top right here. As I said, from Cosmic Eclipse. This is actually from the RCSV figure collection. That one came with Cosmic Eclipse packs, and I've opened so many boxes of that one. The most notable one I opened on the channel actually ended up pulling the Solgaleo and Lunala Tag Team GX with Lily in the front. That was a really, really cool pull back then. Moving it over to the next page. So, a lot of these cards you're also going to recognize from various openings. For example, the Beedrill and the Berserker. I've actually pulled both of these in the same opening from the same fat booster box of, what was it, Shadow Over the Blue Sea, and then the side was the Lugia side instead of the Giratina one. I just thought that was super neat. Also have the Lumineon in Chinese. I actually pulled this one in English not long after I pulled this one, in fact. I thought that was pretty neat. Or actually, I pulled the English one before from a random tin. Alright, I also have this Medicham right here. I actually pulled this one in, I think, one of my earlier 9 Colors Gathering openings. Well, of course, hoping for a different kind of super rare or even hyper rare. But this is still really cool because it does feature more than one Pokemon in the background. I also have the Deoxys VMAX with Orbeetle VMAX, or with Orbeetle, just normal Orbeetle in the background right here. This one was from VMAX Climax initially, but it has then since released into Simplified Chinese, of course. I'm pretty sure that was part of a Pokeball collection gift box or whatever. I don't think this was included in the standard set, although I might be way off. If I'm off, I'll, point it out on screen here somewhere. I also have the Superior V right here. I actually bought this one for a cheap card video way back when. That's like ages ago at this point. And I've kept it ever since because I just think the illustration is super neat. And I think it's still rather affordable. Last time I checked it was 10 euros. Hopefully it hasn't gone up in price too much, because the illustration is super nice and you should definitely have this one in your collection. I also have the 3 Legendary Beasts, got it right this time, the Legendary Beasts. And these ones were also included in my main binder, but have since been included in my secondary binder, just because I don't really have the space for them in my main binder. But I don't want to give them away, which is why most of these cards, actually all of these cards, are in here. I don't have space in my main binder, but I also don't want to throw them into my trade binder, because I don't want to trade them away. They're still kind of special to me. Over right here, I do have the, I want to say 3 promos from the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. I do have the Simplified Chinese version in here that I recently opened in my Charizard VMAX collector box. And I actually have the English version, just like in the picture currently right here. It's sitting on my desk, watching over my openings, so to say. And these promos are really, really cool, especially the Simplified Chinese one, because the texture is just super impressive. And the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection is probably the best product the Pokemon Company has ever released, at least during the Sword and Shield era. And I don't just say that because I opened a Moonbreon from one of them. No, that has nothing to do with it. No, but genuinely, I think it was a really great product when it was readily available. But I've recently seen that prices have been going up quite a bit on that product in particular, which is such a shame. But there we are. I do have the Sandy Shocks right here, the EX. I pulled this one from one of my Terrastal Festival EX openings. Same with the Iron Valiant. I do have the Orange Mabo Stiff EX in here. Pulled this one from my Heatwave Arena opening. I think it was a battle between Heatwave Arena and Battle Partners. I do have the Tinkaton and the Iron Threads EX. These two I pulled in my Fat Booster Box opening of Eternal Beginnings, where I actually pulled 6 super rares from 6 packs. That was an insane opening. I also have the Xianpao EX in here. I recently pulled this one from my Fearless Terrastal opening, and the texture is just super cool, and I don't want to give this away just because of that insane texture. And the artwork is pretty cool itself as well. Alright, and on this page I do have 2 Quaquavels, because I used to have these SARs in English first before I bought the Japanese Koraidon EX, and then upon seeing that texture I was convinced that the Japanese versions are just way better, and this one I pulled most recently, of course. Really cool that I did pull it, even though I do already have the Japanese and the English version, but there we are. I also have the Reveroom. This is the original Reveroom from Obsidian Flames. I never actually, traded it away, sold it, or anything. This is still the very same card right here. I also do have the Greninja EX and Kingdra EX from the Shrouded Fable special boxes. These ones are super cool. I actually don't remember if these cards have been released in Japanese. I want to say no, but I've seen these 2 cards, especially the Kingdra, I think, with a different kind of texture, so it might have been released in another language, maybe Indonesian, maybe Thai, but I don't know. I'll look it up and then put something on the screen right here, I suppose. I do have the Great Tusk right here as well. That's just the same story as with the Quaquavel. This used to be in my main binder, but then I exchanged it for the Japanese version. Right down here I have the Charizard VMAX, and this is actually kind of special to me, because I pulled this one from a single Darkness Ablaze pack back when I opened every single Sword and Shield booster pack, so that one was crazy. That pack has literally been sitting on my shelf for months before I actually did that video, so that was kind of cool. I also have the Rainbow Charizard VMAX. I actually showed this off when I opened my Charizard VMAX collector gift box recently, and I actually graded this one with CGC not too long ago. Came back a 9, and I just cracked it out of the case and, you know, keeping it as a binder copy. So there we are. Alright, and moving it on with this page, I do have all my golden cards that I actually own. Not a whole lot, but I think they are still pretty cool. I do have a lot of simplified Chinese gold cards. You know, when I said it in my opening, I did used to pull a lot of these gold cards. I mean it. I have so many. The Frostlass, I think this was the first one I ever pulled. I don't remember if it was on the channel or if it was on my own time. I want to say it was on the channel, but I can't remember the exact opening. That's like a little while ago at this point. The most recent one though is the Xianpao EX. This one. I also have this Xianpao EX that I pulled from Paldean Fates, and that's literally the best card I ever pulled from Paldean Fates. You know, these cards, these secret rares, are rarer than alternate arts, but of course for Paldean Fates, you do want the alternate arts over these super rares, or over these secret rares. So that's still kind of funny, and then I think after that I just stopped opening Paldean Fates altogether, never pulled anything else again. And here we are. The Snorlax, this is actually the most recent one. Okay, yeah, I kind of forgot that I pulled this one in the Charizard VMAX Collector's Gift box. So that is the most recent one. I do have, God, I've forgotten this one, Zoom Scope or something like that. And I do also have the Fishing Rod and the Cape of Toughness, which I thought was a nice addition. I can't remember where I pulled this. I think it might have been during a Charizard Ultra Premium Collection opening. I'm not quite sure, because it is from Vivid Voltage, and usually Vivid Voltage, I've never actually opened a booster box of Vivid Voltage, so it must have been from one product that included that set in particular, right? I do also have the Iron Leaf EX right here. I pulled this one, I think, in my first Terrastal Festival EX opening. That is my page of golden cards. Actually, you know, funny story, the first intention when I created my main binder, you know, when I first got back into the hobby, I actually had the idea of getting like a lot of these golden cards because I thought they look really cool. Still do, but you know, with the limited space I do have in my main binder, there are some cards I just can't include even though I would, which is what this secondary binder is for, right? Just like these cards over here, the shiny cards, a lot of these from, whatchamacallit, Shiny Treasure EX, and then some of them are also a little bit older. This one is from traditional Chinese. This one is from Dreams Come True, from the Set B in particular, the Electrode GX, and I do have two Meowscaradas, I do have the Gardevoir, and the Noivern EX. I also have the Shiny Charizard promo right here. I think this was from the Paldean Fates tins, so just more Paldean Fates that I opened. Down right here I also have the Squawkabilly, and you might think, well, the Squawkabilly, that isn't really a special card. Well, to me it is, because this Squawkabilly actually came in the same pack as my Bubble Mew.
Excuse me, why would I do that?
We have any news about this year Pokemon game?
There's not going to be a Pokemon game this year. It's going to be next year, right?
Oh, I think Legend of Z gonna be this year or next year.
Hey, Squawkabilly. That one as well. Funnily enough, that Squawkabilly, I've run on one of my decks, and the other one that you got. Oh,
what the
you?
No.
Holy
Go.
Are you serious?
Oh wow.
The alternate are big
he was
chase
right.
card of the
There
set.
had to be a blue Mew in there, and there was.
I saw the card and I thought, okay, this is just gonna be a box with like no special illustration
With
rare.
nothing in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I kept this card. You know, usually a card like this, maybe you trade it away or maybe even sell it, because, well, let's be honest, Squawkabilly isn't a very popular Pokemon. But to me, this card is special, has a special meaning, which is why I kept it in this binder right here. That opening was still really cool. I really wished I recorded it with better quality, but I was streaming it to some friends in Discord, so that's why the quality of that pull is horrible. I also have both the Zacian and the Zamazenta V. These came from their respective Crown Zenith boxes. Up right here, just more baby shinies. A lot of these you might have also seen in openings, so a lot of these aren't even new. I do have the Natu, which I thought was really cute. I have the Whoopie Boy, which is, I think that might have been one of the first Chinese shinies that I ever opened. The Magnezone right next to it. I do have this one right here. This one is really cool because this one is traditional Chinese. And this is the Charmeleon, also from Dreams Come True. Just thought that was super cool. I do have the Jigglypuff, you know, just more cute Pokemon. Same with the Zora. The Zora, I think that's my favorite one out of all of these baby shinies. That one is super cute. I also have the Decidueye down right here. This is the one I pulled most recently from my Charizard VMAX Collector gift box. I have the Floagato right next to it, and I have the Murkrow down right here as well. And then moving it on, and these pages and the followings I would actually class as miscellaneous, because it just seems to be all over the place, right? We have some Prime cards right here, we have some EX. I just couldn't find a theme for all of these to stick together, so let's just call it miscellaneous. These Prime cards actually used to be in my main binder. I did feature them in a mail day not too long ago, but as I said, I downsized the Prime part, or the Prime Pokemon part of my collection, to just 9 of the most popular ones, or my most popular ones. And these ones just didn't make the cut, but I didn't want to trade them away or sell them, which is why they're in here. I do have the Raichu EX. Funny story actually with the Raichu EX. When I bought all of the remaining EX cards for my 2000 subscriber special, I did actually buy one too many EX cards. You know, upon putting them in the binder, I had noticed, wait, well, why do I have one more card but no spot left? And then I realized I accidentally bought one too many. So I had to make the decision between the Raichu EX or the Ninetales EX. And the Ninetales EX just won that one, so it remains in my main binder. But just because the EX cards are so special to me, I just couldn't bring it over me to sell this card again, which is why this is in here as well. I do have the simplified Chinese exclusives of the Radiant Venusaur and the Blastoise special illustration, which is really cool. I do have the amazing rare Rayquaza. This one is also in simplified Chinese. I just thought this was super neat. I do have a Seadra King, one of the few cards actually together with the Mewtwo. Let me pull this one out as well. This is one of the very few cards that survived the purge. You know, back when I sold all of my cards, you know, as a kid, you suddenly think Pokemon is not cool anymore and you sell everything off and get, I don't know, a dirt bike or something like that. And this is one of the few cards that actually survived the purge. Unfortunately, this is super damaged. I don't know if you can make it out of the video. There's a crease going right across the card right there. I think you can tell on the video. So this would probably get like a PSA 1, so very bad condition. But once again, since it's an EX card, I just can't bring it over me to sell this one. It wouldn't really sell for that high anyway, so might just hang on to it. This one is a base set Mew, I want to say. I always thought it was a base set 2 Mew, but no, it's actually a base set one. It is unlimited, you know, it's not shadowless or anything, and it is in German, but I think this is still really cool, you know, a piece of history, if you will. Super old, almost as old as me, this card is. So there we are. And yes, even in this binder, I do have a very small Mew collection right there. I do have 3 shiny Mews. The Japanese one I actually bought for my main binder a while ago, and then these 2 simplified Chinese ones I actually pulled back to back from different packs. That's an interesting video to watch, I'll be sure to link it here somewhere. I also have these 2, both from Tag Team GX All-Stars, and then I also have this Japanese Mew promo. This is not in my main binder, it's just in right here, but I think the artwork is super cool, which is why I don't want to give this one away. Down right here I have the Golden Mew EX in Japanese and in English. The English one I actually pulled from my 151 Ultra Premium Collection opening. Actually no, it was from my Booster Bundle opening. And then the Japanese one I actually bought. And same with the Mew V from Fusion Strike. Didn't pull this one myself, I didn't pull anything from Fusion Strike. So I had to buy this one as well. Over right here I have my small Pikachu collection. A lot of these are very, very common. A lot of these are promos. And this Pikachu V and this Pikachu VMAX, I'm pretty sure, came from the same gift box. So these ones are still pretty cool. The Pikachu VMAX, that's actually a re-release of this promo right here. This is a promo from the Koro Koro comic. in Japanese. So there we go, that's pretty nice. I do have this one from the Pokemon Go card file special edition, and I actually have the illustration contest Pikachu right here. I think this came with my Heatwave Arena booster box, the one I bought for the battle between battle partners, so that's really, really cool. And I have this Pikachu right here. Now this Pikachu is actually, or this illustration is from Silver Tempest, but as you can see by the snowflake right here, this is actually from an advent calendar, from like a holiday calendar, so that I thought was pretty neat. Alright, and I also have some full art trainers right here, starting it off with the Jasmine. I actually bought this off Card Hobby, and I'm pretty sure I graded it with CGC. Came back a 9 if I recall correctly, which is why I cracked it out of the case. I have the Sharon right next to it, and the Boss's Orders featuring Cyrus. I do have Clive, I do have, I think, Professor's Assistant, this one is called. I'm pretty sure I bought this for one of my cheap mail days as well, and ended up keeping it ever since. I do have the Proton Full Art that I pulled in my Glory of Team Rocket opening. I do have the Judge right here, and I do have the Amaris SAR. The only SAR Full Art trainer I pulled from Terrastal Festival EX so far. Maybe that will change in the future. Next right here, I do have a bunch more Chinese or simplified Chinese Full Art trainers. I did kind of order them, so these are the Japanese ones that I have. These are the simplified Chinese, and then over right here are English ones, and I think one German one. Let's take a look at the simplified Chinese ones first. I have the Brock. I actually bought this one off Card Hobby as well. I didn't even want to buy this one, as funny as that sounds. Didn't even want to buy this one because I just wanted to test if they shadow banned me, because for some reason my bits weren't going through, and didn't end up being the case. It just was some latency or something else. I do also have the Airy right here. This is actually a traditional Chinese card, because obviously that set wasn't released in simplified Chinese, so this is a traditional Chinese card actually. I do have the Volo, which I think is really cool. The Elasa Sparkle, which I have so many versions of. I actually can't remember. I think I might have cracked one of these simplified Chinese ones I sent over. Obviously I kept the pristine 10. I cracked the normal 10. Do have the Penny. This was from my opening where I pulled 6 super rares from 6 packs. Professor Sada right here with Professor's Research. Team Star Runt right there. Also you have the Suaro SAR, which is really, really nice. And the Faulkner right next to that one. And then over right here, some of my English Full Art trainers. Some of these actually used to be in my main binder as well. I think these 3 for the most part before I actually switched things up as well. These ones are pretty cool because these are gym leaders from the Gala region, and the cool thing about them, each one has their own special Pokeball. With the Nesser, I'm pretty sure that's the Dive Ball, Bea has the Ultra Ball, and then obviously Marnie has the Darkness Ball fitting with her team, of course. I do have the Melanie right here and the Raihan, both of those from Crown Zenith with the Licia in the middle. The best card I pulled from Surging Sparks. Didn't really open that much of the set anyways, but that's my best pull. And then down right here are the Shauna. That one was also in my main binder for a pretty long time. The Barry, this is a German one. I think I just pulled this in a random opening. Don't know if it's actually up on the channel or if I just opened some packs in my own time and ended up pulling it. The Nemona from Paldean Fates, that's actually a really, really cheap Full Art trainer, but I just like Nemona so much, which is why I included her in this one as well. I think Nemona is a really great rival. And then up right here I have some Rainbow Rare trainers. I didn't actually like them at first, but they are growing on me, especially the simplified Chinese ones with that insane texture you can see on the Beauty right there, and then even on the Leon with the stars in the background. I have the Kamado. I do have another Sharon, this one being in German. This one, the Thornton. I think I actually pulled this one in the same opening where I pulled the Bubble Mew, you know, the one that I did with a couple of friends in Discord. And I have this Rainbow Rare Dancer. The last page in my secondary binder, I have Eeveelutions promos. These ones are from various 3-pack blisters of the Sword and Shield era. So these ones are pretty cool. I think my favorite illustration out of all of them is probably the Espeon. It's between the Espeon and the Eevee. The Eevee is just chilling in the shade. And the Espeon is just looking super cool right there, even though, you know, the Glaceon is my favorite Eeveelution. And then right here, these ones are super cool in my opinion. These ones are from the traditional Chinese Terrestrial Festival EX release, and they released some special blisters. So you get one blister and you have 3 cards in each blister. So 3 blisters gives you all 9 promos. There you go. Quick maths. So out of these ones, I think my favorite is definitely Glaceon. The Umbreon is a close second. The Umbreon actually looks insane as well. That one in a Master Ball reverse would look really, really amazing, which is probably why that card in a Master Ball reverse is pretty pricey. Even in Pokeball reverse is kind of pricey. But yeah, the Glaceon, that is such a cool illustration in my opinion. Look at that. That is so nice. And well, that does conclude my secondary binder. Not nearly as impressive as my main binder, I want to say. My main binder does contain a few very expensive cards, but I'm still very proud of this binder, and I still like every single card in here. Well, but I guess that does it for this video. If you enjoyed this one, then please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, then give it a thumbs down. Tell me in the comments below what you didn't like so I can try to fix that for future videos. And just one note on the next few videos, in fact, releasing, I do actually have something planned. We're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and open a lot of the older simplified Chinese Pokemon sets. I'm actually really excited for those videos. But anyways, here's a video that YouTube thinks is best suited for you. Right here, the subscribe button, click this one first, then click this video. Check out any of the other videos in the description below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, take care.